Helghan, the homeworld of the Helghast. A weak and ailing planet, ruled by a crumbling dictatorship. We go in, take out those loyal to the ruling party, and the people will rise up and do the rest. We'll be home in no time, and the Helghast will threaten us no more. At least that's what they tell us. Me, I'm a soldier, and I trust my instincts. And my instincts are telling me something's not right. Guess we'll find out soon enough.
Unleash the whirlwind of our wrath! Our guns never tire, and we have beaten back the foe!
So we had this idea of a massive planetary invasion, and in Killzone 2 it's actually the first time that we're taking the war to the home planet of the Helghast. You're outgunned, you're outnumbered, and the notion is that you never quite feel safe.
In Killzone 2, the theater of war and the feeling of war is really all around you. It's the ISA battlecruisers in the sky that remind you of the epic war that you're fighting on the planet, but it's also the small things like walking around Helghan planet. And we try to really entrench this feeling of war in all the different elements.
Immersion for Killzone 2 is really important for us. So we removed all the distractions, such as the HUD, for example, which always sits in between the player and the actual world. We wanted to make the player feel vulnerable, so we have a lot of things going on that make him feel that he's really there. The other thing we try to do is make the player feel physically connected to the world. There is this valve that you can turn, and you use the 6-axis controller. That really makes the player feel more immersed. We've made everything first person. For example, helping a buddy up a higher area is in first person. If the player dies, the camera will fall over in first person. Because every time you pull out the camera and make a third person shot, it breaks the sense of immersion.
The PlayStation 3 has allowed us to do much more complex things with the AI in Killzone 2. The Helghast will respond much more to the player's actions. They will jump over obstacles and hide behind cover. And if you shoot the cover, they will rethink what to do and make another plan.
The hit response system in Killzone 2 has become one of the most important mechanics in the game. And to make that as realistic as possible, we spent a lot of time on making this system really work well. Whenever the player fires at an enemy in a certain situation, he will see a different response, which really adds to the variety of the game.
We've invested a lot of time in our animation systems to get a good blend between physics-driven animations combined with mocap and hands-animated. And by doing that, we got this kind of really nice blend of viscerality to the characters, where basically if you shoot them, everything kind of moves realistically, and we put a lot of effort in that because it's so important.
Every hit in our game has got to create a very dramatic impact. You see that in the environments through loads of destructibility, but also on the characters. There's a lot of variety in how your enemies react to your bullets, and that, to us, creates a very unique and innovative gameplay experience.
It wasn't supposed to be like this. In and out, they said. A show of force, they said. The Helghast war machine was destroyed on Vecta, and you guys just need to sweep it up, they said. But, like any animal, the Helghast are at their most dangerous when cornered.
Killzone 2, we have created a world that is very hostile to you in many different ways. But at the same time, we've created a world that is very real and very believable.
When we started developing the world of Helghan, we really started at the basis for almost anything we design. And the basis is basically the Helghast themselves, their ideology, their politics. And that goes for anything in the world, from their cars till their vehicles, from the houses that they build. Everything's kind of built from this ideology upwards.
We decided to host Killzone 2 entirely on Helghan, which is an alien planet, but it still looks very eerily familiar. So you'll recognize a lot of the things like the structures and the buildings, but you won't recognize lots of the Helghan technology. This allowed us to create a unique world with 5 completely different gameplay environments and 10 completely different experiences.
The audio really adds to the cinematic nature of Killzone 2. We have a dynamic music system, which means that whenever action is ramping up, the music will ramp up accordingly as well. Previous games we were limited by memory and the number of sentences we could trigger, but this time we stream it all from the Blu-ray, which adds to the variety, and the player won't keep hearing the same sentences over and over.
Colonel Radek.
But the one thing that we're all kind of looking for, and a lot of people are talking about scale, for us it's much more about density. Everything in the world has to be extremely dense, the experience has to be dense, the action has to be dense. You know, you can look at the world and it can be very large, but it can still feel empty. So on a very small scale, putting nasty little details in the environment, water dripping everywhere, bugs and insects kind of throughout the game. One important aspect is the city itself. It needs to kind of look threatening. So we started looking at their architecture, how their skyline looked, making sure that it almost kind of looked like a ragged knife.
For Killzone, we've taken inspiration from the great totalitarian 20th century regimes. You see that reflected in many things on Helghan. You see it in the architecture, kind of Stalinistic, pompous. You see it in the weaponry of the Helghast, which is very mass-produced. Everything that is Helghast and Helghan kind of feels very replaceable versus very individualistic for the ISA.
The main thing about Killzone is immersion. Everything that we do, we want to kind of really immerse the player in the experience. We always wanted the Helghast to be very menacing, and we needed to have a world that fit very well with that character. So we started looking at making everything be very scary, very hostile, very threatening. And there's a very good German word for that. There's a word that they call unheimlich. Unheimlich basically means unhomely. And that's the sense that we wanted to give the player. This is really somebody else's society, somebody else's world. You're not welcome here.